In quantum physics, the two most mysterious experiments are surely the double slit experiment and quantum entanglement. And recent developments have shown that what is hidden or mysterious within both experiments are very closely related to the same phenomenon. And in this video, I'm going to explain the most recent developments with these two phenomena, plus a proposed experiment to finally test and hopefully finally solve all the remaining mysteries in both. First, I'll try to quickly run through the facts because there are a lot of false beliefs, misunderstandings and even lies still going around about these experiments. So I'll clarify the facts, and this should make the experiment much easier to understand. In the double slit experiment, there is only one mystery left. If anyone is still being taught or teaching or believing that the wave function collapses, this has been proven wrong. I proved this wrong in 2019 using a statistical inequality, and you can see another video from another mainstream channel, which I will link in the video description, explaining this in a different way to my proof. The channel shows there is still an interference pattern emerges in each of the twin bands. But either way, the result is the same. The wave function never collapses. It gets localized in time as well as space, and it is exactly the same with Bell's theorem. The essence of what is happening is to do with the range of time, and I'll get to this in a minute. The other prevailing false belief with the double slit experiment is that there may be some kind of decoherence happening when we detect for which way and get the twin band. This has also been proven wrong, because when we physically detect for which way by firing photons between the slits, but we don't collect the statistical data, then we get the interference pattern, not the twin band. So it is definitely not decoherence. The smaller interference patterns in the twin bands tells us it's a focus on the range and time. In effect, a shorter exposure time in each measurement performed within the experiments. And using logical deduction, it is clear that the waves propagate out in all directions, but we only detect a tiny proportion of it in one direction or one dimension. Now, regarding Bell's theorem, in my recent video I explained what the hidden variables are in Bell's theorem. You can see those in my playlist on Bell's theorem, where I used David Merman's experiment setup. In short, a quarter of the time the devices overlap, not a third of the time. And it's a very simple logic solution, just like John Bell's theorem is a very simple problem. Now, as you can probably appreciate, my channel is a very small channel, so it hasn't reached probably enough people to get it circulating with gusto. And the reason my channel is so small and has so few subscribers is because every time I do something which causes a big massive upset for people in particle physics or Big Bang physics, my channels get shut down and I lose hundreds of subscribers every time. But to get back to the point of this video, again, like the double slit experiment, something is changing the focus on time in quantum entanglement. And in my recent two-part short videos on superposition, I showed that all electrons or any larger fermions with a half spin are oscillating through all possible orientations, and in my video on spin, I explain why electrons have angular momentum but do not spin. The spinning is inside the space-time fabric, and they twist the fabric on the outside, which can't spin. And the space-time fabric itself gets pulled back and forth as the angular momentum of the electron vortex inside pulls it and twists it. So I have revealed the hidden variables in Bell's theorem, and anybody who watches my video can see that it's really simple and clear. I have provided the structure of the space-time fabric, which explains quantum gravity and dark energy and just about everything else. And so the really fascinating thing, and the only remaining mystery in the double slit experiment and in quantum entanglement, is what is adjusting the focus on time. Something is adjusting the focus to always give the opposite spin state in the second entangled object that's measured. In a sense, something is adjusting or defining the moment in time in a way similar to the exposure time in a photograph or film. We're always getting a reading from a tiny slice of time from an entire range of time which goes undetected. It's a bit like photography. Say you photograph a clock once a day at exactly the same time. We will always record the same exact time, but the hands have moved through all possible positions in the clock in between. And if you've ever seen old cowboy movies where the wheels look like they're rolling backwards as the wagon moves forward, this might help one understand. It's the timing of the recording which leads to illusion in the wagon wheels. And the real mystery in quantum entanglement is what is leading to the same timing being recorded in the opposite direction in each entangled object. And to make something else really clear, there's a common misconception that spooky action is instant,
that the two measurements are instant,
which is wrong. We cannot make two measurements at exactly the same time. The only instant thing which happens is what decision is instant, that whatever is marking the range in time is decided instantly, or it is set, it is defined instantly. Because in theory, if we did a thought experiment, we could have two entangled objects located billions of light years away, test one, then 100 years or 1,000 years later test the other, and the result will still be the opposite spin of the first object. So it is not the action by humans running an experiment which is instant, it's the decision, or it's whatever defines the moment, that is instant. And this brings us to what is surely the most mysterious question in all of science: where did time come from? It is perhaps the most profound and troubling question which mankind has pondered on through the ages, and no one can answer it. Any attempts to answer it fail. There is no human who can explain how time came into existence.
what existed before time began,
What started time? They are impossible questions beyond current human understanding. Our human understanding is based on time being a series of events which happen one after the other, and we cannot explain how time itself came into existence. And anybody who says that they can,
any explanation I've ever heard is just a fudge.
it doesn't work, it doesn't make sense. Now, people who promote the Big Bang will say it came into existence with the Big Bang, but again, it's just a fudge, and it's an attempt to appear knowledgeable because they have no mechanism for how time starts, how it works, just like they have no mechanism for what started the Big Bang or where the initial thought of energy came from. And besides, any honest, intelligent person
Following the James Webb Telescope
and the Milky Way-sized galaxies located 300 million years from the proposed Big Bang knows that the Big Bang is wrong. I proved it wrong using logic in 2019, and the Indian research organisation who put Chandra on the moon released data from stellar observations in 2021, which proved it wrong, but we have all been censored. Anyway, back to the point of time. So something is adjusting the time of exposure in the double slit experiment and in quantum entanglement. And this brings us near to the juicy part. How can we test? And there is a test, but it challenges the beliefs and dogma of almost everyone. Now, Einstein famously called quantum entanglement spooky action at a distance. And perhaps he was jokingly, perhaps insinuating it as some kind of spook or ghost which was at work. However, there's no reason why this should be seen as a joke, because it leads us to the question of the only thing which is hinted at throughout history as understanding time beyond human knowledge, which is the existence of a creator, God, often called by people of faith the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit. One could call it the Holy Spook, but it's still the same idea. Now, whether you believe in God or not, most of us believe in science, and one would think that a scientific test for God, if there was one, would be readily tested, both by atheists and people of faith alike, especially if such a test could lead to ending all the suffering, injustices and horrors in the world. That's what you'd expect, right? But scientists are human, and like everyone, they have false beliefs, biases, emotions and priorities. And after 3 years of this experiment being proposed, and it's really simple, and having it sent to hundreds, perhaps thousands of scientists by this stage, no one has tried it. And I am very confident that no one has tried it, because it would be the easiest thing in the world to send me an email and let me know that the experiment was tried, and if it didn't work, let me know that it didn't work. A quick run through of the experiment setup, and that would be it. But nobody has contacted me, and I think it's for the reasons of priorities. And two of the most prominent priorities is the aim for people making lots of money and maximising efficiency with time. So even though an extremely simple experiment has been proposed to test, it's been sent to hundreds, maybe thousands of researchers, and the first obstacle is that people who do not believe in God put it at the bottom of their list of priorities. Any who perhaps may be tempted to put it higher in their list of priorities likely have consideration for making money higher on the list. They may view that their timetable is already full of things to do. It's unfortunate, even tragic, for the millions of people experiencing horrors every day but that seems to be the case. No one has tried it. Now the experiment, it actually comes in a whole range between really simple to high tech, extremely simple to extremely sophisticated, and don't be fooled by its simplest form, because as Leonardo da Vinci said, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. And here's the simplest form. In its simplest form, we run the double slit experiment in a vacuum using single photons. We diffract the light using a graphene thread or double slit experiment apparatus, and we simply ask, if you are a conscious entity adjusting the time range, please give us the twin band instead of the interference pattern, without us testing for which way. That's extremely simple, right? But one can already imagine why some physicists may look down on the idea as childish and beneath them. However, this is just the simplest test, but if it works, we can upscale it to extremely high-tech levels. We can have 2 detection screens, one left, one right of center, one slightly further away from the photon gun to detect a different range in time, and ask it to generate binary code. A photon detected right as 1,
A photon detected left as a 0.
and it may generate graphics with images of how it wants to appear and communicate with us. If it works, it would know all languages, all science, all psychology, and know how to talk to all people individually in ways everyone can understand. Again, one can see why some people would have mental barriers to this experiment. They may think God could not be that powerful and so personal. That, however, is not science, it's an assumption. The fact is, the test is there for anyone willing and able to try it. As the saying goes, and prove me wrong. And oddly, I can find no one willing to run the simplest test in 3 years of asking people. And it's not for any scientific reason that people will not do it. It's for these personal reasons which are not based on science. They're based on beliefs and priorities within people's minds. But when you understand, or when you think about how powerful this could be if it works, it really should be at the top of everyone's priority list, whether they're atheist or whether they're people of faith. Now, if we look at how sophisticated even a mobile phone is, there are trillions of actions happening every second, millions of bits being sent. It's mind-boggling. And you need to study how it works and understand it in small chunks and build up a picture. So, if God does exist, there's no reason why a God so powerful, who created all the universe, could not work on timescales which allows personal interactions with every living creature, plant, even microbe. Again, it's mind-boggling, but it's theoretically very logical and very possible. And you too may have reservations about whether it would work. So have I. But please remember, it is science, and you may have doubts as to whether you want to share this video. So I would remind you, it is evidence-based. It may need getting far and wide to reach that one person with an open mind willing to try it. I have no money, so all I have to depend on is people willing to share it. And please remember, if it works, it will end all human trafficking, all environmental destruction, all human diseases, all wars, predict all natural disasters before they happen, allowing everyone to be prepared, effectively ending all unnecessary suffering in the world and turning the planet into heaven on earth. And the idea of heaven on earth may seem too good to be true given the current horrors and madness in the world, but it is very possible when one considers the facts. So, until someone tries it, we have more of the same madness in the world, horrors in the world, and with artificial intelligence fast rising, the ability for truth to break through the censors and the mind control, it's become increasingly more dangerous and increasingly more prohibitive, and we may not have much time left. So whether you believe in God or not, if you believe in science and you can imagine a better world than we have today, a peaceful, happy, honest world where people live and treat each other with respect, then please do share it and hope it reaches someone with an open mind in time. And please do not be taken in with the assumption that everybody in science is objective and is honest and deals fairly. Anyone who's involved in science knows that's not the case. Science becomes compromised as soon as money is involved, and as soon as people's beliefs are involved, as soon as military superiority is involved, science becomes compromised, and you can see that very clearly in the world today. I explained some of the censorship and some of the dirty underhand tactics which are being used in some of my other videos. I don't want to make this video too long, so I'll not discuss them here in depth. I'll just mention briefly that the Indian Research Organisation, their censorship, which proves the Big Bang wrong, has been blocked from all institutions in the West which promote the Big Bang as if it is science. And an inventor from Zimbabwe, Maxwell Chikumbutso, he's invented a battery which has free energy. You don't need electricity supply, you don't need fuel to run it, and it's been independently verified, and it is real. And it's exactly the same as what Tesla said he had invented before his workshops got raided and he was locked in a hotel room for the rest of his life. People say he locked himself there, but what Maxwell has shown kind of shows us that that's not true, that's not the case. And this technology has been hidden from us for over 70 years. Which is not conspiracy theory. Maxwell has kind of proven it. So it shows the extent that people will go to hide resources and power from people who want to stay in control. What lengths they will go to and how they will do it for so long to keep people under control. And just to briefly talk about the censorship that I've experienced, in my first channel I had it shut down because I put one comment on a video by someone talking about their Nobel Prize win, and they said that they couldn't explain something about their prize win. I explained how it works and they went ballistic. Now usually a tin hat person talking nonsense would be ignored. They went ballistic and they went to extreme measures to have my channel closed down. I started up a second channel and I had it going for years, and I had 160 videos, and again it got closed down by particle physicists, Big Bang physicists, when I showed that their models do not make sense. And I lose hundreds of subscribers every time that my channels get shut down. Again, my work is very simple, but as Einstein said, if you can't explain it to a 5-year-old, you don't understand it well enough yourself. Which is what I do. I make it really, really simple to understand. But it seems like mathematical physicists who believe totally in the Big Bang and in the particle model, despite all the anomalies and despite all the evidence showing that they're not the correct models, they seem to view my models as simplistic and childish rather than simple and clear. They seem to look down on me and my work as beneath them. But my theory of everything does what the theory of everything must, and there only is one theory of everything. It unifies and explains everything in physics. It shows the particle model and Big Bang are fantastic science fiction models, but they're not science. They're not consistent with the evidence. Mine is, and mine has experiments to prove that. And some of my videos are so direct and so explicit about the corruption and the underhand tactics within science that those channels have been closed down. But some of them are available on my odyssey.com channel, Science Not Dogma, for anybody who wants to go and check those out. They would be considered very controversial unless you actually look at the facts, and I do go through the facts for anybody who is objective and unbiased enough to actually face the facts, which may be upsetting to someone who has invested time and their careers working on models which turn out to be pseudoscience. And for anybody in such a position, I would say the benefits of working on the correct model of physics now far outweighs any liabilities that you're going to have from working on a model that's incorrect. If you want to be scientific, work on the model that's correct. And in the long term, it's going to reap much better rewards for yourself and everybody that you love and to humanity. So please, take it really seriously. Think about the consequences of not doing it and think about the benefits of doing it, and please share this video and push to have science tested.
And it may be the case that we can communicate with this intelligence using quantum computers in a much simpler, easier way. Just turn on a quantum computer and say, okay, please talk to us.